Well, in this video, I'll touch on somewhat, let's say, controversial point. That is, are software robots really robots? My position is that they are. But I must advise, or I must remember that as we saw in another video, many important institutions or people think that software robots are not robots. For example, the International Federation of Robotics says that software robots are not robots. Let's try to reason that. If you remember another video, I identified 6 traits of a robot. The starting point was that they were agents, and I added 4 mandatory traits, that they were artificial, intelligent, autonomous, and adaptable, and 2, let's say, optional or clarifying ones, that they were human-like and perceived as units. But if we think about software robots and the 4 mandatory traits, that is, they are artificial, they are intelligent, yeah, they are autonomous, they are adaptable, they are. So we have agents that are artificial, intelligent, autonomous, and adaptable. What we require from something to be a robot. So what are the counter arguments, or why those people, those institutions think that a software robot is not a robot? Well, I think there are 2, let's say, conflicting points. First of it is the environment. An agent is something that interacts with the environment, senses its environment, and acts on it. In the physical world, an industrial robot, we have clear what the environment is. But what happens in software robots? Well, in my last book, in Robots en la Sombra, I spoke about two types of software robots. I don't intend to say that they are the unique robots and software robots that could be, but I think are the important ones. And they are RPA robots, robotic process automation robots, and conversational agents, conversational robots, such as voice bots, chatbots, virtual assistants, and the like. Well, in the case of RPA robots, the thing is that its environment is completely digital. It's not physical, it's digital. An RPA robot interacts with applications, documents, files, or another systems via connectors, APIs, and the like. But there is an environment. And the environment they sense because they get information from it and interact, and the environment, they act on it. So they are working as an agent, but with a digital environment. In the case of conversational agents, it's a bit different. They can also interact with, let's say, a back office or backend digital environment, but they really, the conversational agents have a different environment that are we. We humans are the environment for a conversational AI, because these kind of robots are made precisely to interact with people. So we are its environment. And I draw your attention to the fact that that's not different from what we expect from a social robot, a humanoid robot. So it's not that different. So in my opinion, they have environment, the conversational and RPA robots have environment, they sense that environment, and they act on it. But the second point, the second controversial point, and I think it's the more important one, is that of the body. We usually suppose or think that a robot has a physical body, the term that is called embodiment. And we tend to think about software robots, well, a software is like a logical thing, not a physical thing. But if you think it, well, it's not completely true. What happens is that typical robots, industrial robots, social robots, service robots, have a specific hardware. When we said that it has a physical structure suitable for the task, That does make the physical structure to be specific, let's say. But on the contrary, in software robots, they use general purpose hardware, computers, and well, things like that, and a smartphone. But this is a body, and this has the things like sensors, has well, a camera, I don't know where, but it has a microphone, an inertial unit, so it senses when I move. It has GPS, it knows exactly where I am. If I touch on it, it reacts, it senses what I do on them. So it has a physical body with sensors. So it's not that strange, or it's not wrong thinking that a software robot has also a body. And how that software robots interact with its environment. Well, in the case of RPA, they use typically APIs, connectors, and things like that, and another mechanism I'll speak of later. And in the case of conversational agents, it's a bit different because they use social mechanisms, voice, or things like that. And so they tend to use some intermediary to interact with the physical environment. In the case of conversational agents, that intermediary are we. In the case of RPA robots, if they need to interact not with the digital world, but with the physical world, they usually use a digital interface to a device that is physical. But they can also interact with physical world if they need to. And finally, I'll try to return to the two optional traits, that of that they are perceived as units. And I think in the case both of RPA robots and conversational agents, we see as a single modules, not complete systems, but single modules with kind of unity personality. And there was another trait that is useful right now, that is human likeness. We tend to think about robots, something that behaves, not its shape, but behavior similar to humans. In the case of conversational agents, it's clear. The more natural the conversation is in a conversational agent, the more similar to humans, the better a conversational agent is. So human likeness in this case of conversational agents is very clear. In the case of RPA robots, we need to remember the original mechanism that give birth to RPA, and that's interacting with users' interfaces. They read from screens exactly like humans using a technique called screen scrapping, and they do such as if they were typing on the keyboard or moving or clicking with a mouse using the drivers. So from the point of view of the applications or documents they interact with, it's as if they were a person interacting with that application or that document. And that's the situation or the idea of human likeness in the specific case or RPA. Well, I don't think if I have achieved to convince you that software robots are robots, but I really think they are, and I've given you the reasons.